My name is Renee Lewis. I'm with Design by Choice. Next year, I will be celebrating 30 years as an interior designer, so I have a lot of experience along the way. I have met so many wonderful people, and my initial, when I started with really small homes and small projects. So I've done 800 square foot homes to over 10,000 square foot homes over my career. And I always say, no home's too small, no home's too big. And I just love to help people create the home that they love to come home to. So your next home, I think most of us dream about what a next home will look like, what it's going to be like for us. So we're going to start at the beginning. For somebody that's leaving home, their home they grew up in for the first time. So we're going to find out some things. Great little contemporary house in Rochester. So I had to pop that on there because isn't that cute? All right, are we good? All right, we think we're good. All right, so here we go. How many homes will the average American own in their lifetime? I was kind of surprised by these statistics. So let's take a peek. The answer is 3. So we're going to feature those 3 homes, and you're going to go, wait a minute, I might own more homes than that. And I'm going to give you the exceptions before I go through the program. So usually it will start with a starter home. And those are usually people between 25 and 27 are buying their starter home. They just need to get into the market, and they're going to live there 5 to 7 years. So it's important that you have a home that you're going to enjoy, but this next one is the big one that you really have to think about, and that's a family home, the home that you're going to raise your family in. Chances are, and statistics say, people stay there about 30 years. So for me as a designer, I've now been in my family home because my husband doesn't want to leave it for over that period of time. And it's been redesigned 3 times from top to bottom. I keep saying, we can go somewhere else. And then finally, a home to retire in. And notice I did not say a retirement home. But in this home, depending on what age you retire, you'll be in that home for about 25 years. So that's kind of the cycle. There are exceptions to average. I was going to save that till the end, but I thought you'd want to know that now. So the exceptions to the average is there's corporate moves. I know many people that have moved. I had a client that I was lucky to have for 2 years that her husband is a person that saves newspapers that are going under. And he came in and saved our Detroit papers. And so she moves every 2 years. So that's a big commitment. And then many people have second vacation homes, but they're not a primary home. Also, people who love to build a new home every 5 to 7 years. I don't know if that's any of you, but I've had 2 clients that have done this. And their whole philosophy behind that is there's no maintenance. You build the house, you sell it after 7 years and move on. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of effort. Okay, and then there's alternative living for seniors, which I thought this is just fun because if you retire early, you might have an RV. You might travel the country. You might live in a campground as a campground host. You might live on a boat. You might do house sitting and property caretaking. And then in presenting this or getting ready to present, we found that there's actually people who live on cruise ships. I've read stories of both a man and a woman that say it's least expensive to live on a cruise ship and just travel the world, meet new people every month, every week. But the only hitch to this is if you decide to live on a cruise ship, you have to disembark when everybody gets off, and then you just wait and get back on. So it sounds exciting. I don't know how many years you could really do that, but there's alternatives to this kind of thing. So I just thought it would be fun to point that out. You can, a lot of people in Michigan either rent or own a second home in the Sun Belt somewhere, whether it be Arizona or Florida, somewhere like that. We like to get away from snow and ice. So the starter house. This may take minutes. I don't see anybody here that's probably buying their starter house for the first time, although I have my first client at 65 bought her first house, her starter house. And so her starter house is the only house that she'll own. So the average age of the buyer, like I said, is 25 to 27. And the big thing about the starter house is to build equity for your next house so that they have that down payment or close to it. So people this age have a lot of energy. Have you ever noticed that? Lots of energy, endless energy. So if they buy a fixer-upper and they're handy, that's a really good thing because they're going to save money. I also say plan to do remodeling and painting by yourself or with the help of family and friends. Somebody usually knows somebody that's willing to pick up a paint roller and come over and help. That really establishes the kids in their starter home. Don't over improve. That's important because you can spend a lot of money in your starter house and then not be able to get it out when you need it. So don't over improve, make it look nice, make it feel cozy, and save for that next home. So I'm going to show you 3 starter homes and how one of the rooms in there might look. So this starter home actually started out as a home that had peeling paint and no porch. And I think, you look at that, and I'm sure somebody said, hey, probably a parent said to the kids, this is going to be a great starter house. And the kids are going, really? With the peeling paint and everything? By adding a porch, doesn't that make a huge difference if you can imagine what it looked like before? It's very cozy. It's very small, sweet. You might design inside. As a designer, I have to put in interiors, of course. And this is a great interior. It's cheery. Kids are really, young people love color and they love to just kind of embrace it. It's a cozy room because it's a cozy house. It's not in that house. It's just an example. And then the next one, maybe somebody wants a little bigger starter house. This is the same scenario. It was in an area where it was all peeling paint and the porch was added to this house. So, in that 5 to 7 years, just by dolling it up, it's going to make a lot of money. We actually helped all 3 of our sons with down payments on their starter houses. All of them we bought in between 2011 and 2013, right in the downturn. All of them made 3 times their money that we had in the house total. So it's kind of important to know. And in that house, you might have something like this, cute little fun spot. It's still a small home. And then maybe a starter home for some people might be a bigger one like this. And this is a new build, just so you know. So, and then that might have one of my favorite slides right now for spring. Isn't it great? Love the birds, and the blues and whites are just so fresh and nice looking. So the family home, the most important decision. You're going to settle in for about 30 years. That's a long time. School system is extremely important decision for people that are making this move, and room to grow as a family. So you kind of have to anticipate how many kids you think you're going to have, right? How many bedrooms do you need? It needs to check all the boxes in terms of floor plan. I'm sure you've been in homes where the floor plans just don't seem to jive. There's just something wrong. You need to make sure that you can live in that floor plan and that it functions well for you. For me, in our home, one of the things that was important was that the family room was far away from my living room. I have a grand piano. I love to play it, and I don't want to be messing with the people who are watching TV. So there's certain things that you may or may not like about a floor plan. Now, this is a time that if you're building this house and you really think that I'm going to stay here forever, first floor master suites may require another move. First floor master suite may not require another move if there is a second master on the second floor. So story and a halves are very popular with families where the parents are on the first floor and the kids are upstairs. For me, raising my children, I wanted to know if something happened and I needed to get to my babies, that they were upstairs with me. So, it's just something to think about. Yes, it's more money at this point, but it saves more money down the road, right? So A lot of people start in what I call a track home, which is a developer comes in and puts a lot of homes in. They're great family neighborhoods. There's lots of kids to play with. And this is a great example of a family home. And it might be designed something like this, slip cover furniture for kids so that you can take the covers off, throw it in the washer, and fairly simple design. And be looking at this color on this wall to be coming back right now this year. Gray is gone. People are done with gray. This house is another example of a family house, a family that would like to have some space around them. So you've got to think about the kind of neighborhood. And that one might have this in the master bedroom from traditional home. Love the navy and the kind of grass cloth natural colors. So that one you get dressed up a whole lot more than you do your starter home. And then this one is obviously somebody who's very successful when they buy their family home. And this one may have something like this on the interior. So cozy and warm, kind of slightly Tudor, but not quite. So the next home, not the retirement home, the home you're going to retire in. Usually this is a home purchase that you're going to make between age 55 and 70. And so depending on when you buy it in that cycle depends on how long you'll be there. But there's a lot of really important things to learn about this. The family home should be paid off by now. So that's a wonderful thing because you've lived there a long time, you've paid it off. And so now you have a very nice budget moving into this next home. You may build or purchase what you can afford. And open floor plan is ideal for this. We need lots of space because at some point in that home, you could start to just get older. And there's things that happen. Sometimes people need wheelchairs. Sometimes they just need to be able to get around. So we're going to talk about if you build that house, what you're going to ask the builder to do for you. Plan for universal design if you're having the home built. And I'll talk about universal design in just a minute. And then consider aging in place. I have yet to meet a client or anybody I've ever known that said, I can't wait to get to the retirement home. You know, it's a hard decision for people. My mom had Alzheimer's, and that was something that we had to do for the last 3 years of her life. And it was extremely difficult decision, hard for her, hard for us. And if there was any way we could have kept her in place, we would have preferred that. So this is it. Most people, when they get to this house, purchase high-end furniture because they say, I'm never going to decorate again. And they bring all the money from the first house. And so they come and shop here at MDC, which we love. And we have wonderful showrooms that have furniture, lighting, whatever you need is here under this roof, which is wonderful. So questions to think about. Do I need to accommodate overnight family members or guests? Usually the answer is yes. If you have family that lives out of state, something like that. So you want to make sure that you don't get that house too small. Do you want 2 or 3 bedrooms? When my mom built her retirement home in Florida, she built a 2-bedroom and she said it was the worst mistake she made because somebody in my family was always down there with their kids. My kids loved sleeping on the floor in the lanai because that was the only place we could put them. So the other question, how is my general health? You want to think about, how soon do you have to start thinking about making some changes? Because we want to get them made on the front end, not on the back end. So the other decisions, are you going to be on a slab that has heated floors, which is very comfortable as you age? Is there a crawl space under it, or is there a basement under it? There's no other state in the country, I think, that loves basements more than Michigan. I don't know why it is, but we love our basements. What absolutely needs to move with you? You don't want to move your whole house with you to the next house because maybe you want something new and different than you've had before. And do I plan on doing a lot of traveling in the first 10 years of retirement? Thus the cruise ship, the RV. You might keep your money in the bank for that Well, that's not going to make any money right now, is it? But you might have your investments and continue to gain money during that 10 years that you might be traveling. Because if you retire at 55, chances are you're going to do a lot of traveling in those first 10 years. So this is a home that is one of the smaller homes, but it has everything that someone needs. Now, in all of these houses, I'm choosing slabs because there's no steps into the house. So as you age, if you have wheelchairs, something like that, that becomes important. That door is a 36-inch door, which is standard for a front door. It doesn't look like it in this proportion to the house, but it is a 36-inch door. So if you're retired, you might want to have a room like this to have your little tea parties and just sit and chat, because one of the things that we all like to do is tell our life stories. To me, this is this great little room to just do that. If you love the design, it's just fun, isn't it? And then this is very blurry, but it's the only thing I could find with a golf cart in front of it. So here we are. It is a retirement community with golfing. And a lot of seniors are very active and they love that. I don't know, does anybody here ever go to the villages for the winter or anything in Florida? Okay, I know a lot of people that do. That's a golf cart community. People pretty much park their car in the garage. They can go to restaurants. They can do anything in golf carts. So kind of fun. So for those that find that to be an attractive way of living for you, that would be an excellent thing. So next, you might decorate that house because it's in the sun belt in a nice sunny color that just, whether it's a rainy day or not, you have this wonderful golden glow to the home. And like I said, yellows and golds are coming back. They're in the forecast for 2022 in all the major paint companies. And then this home, when I found this, I said to my husband, this is it. This is the one I want. It's a small house, all stone. I guess I don't need that piece to the side, but it has a little more, again, almost 0 to very, very small steps into a double door entry, which is ideal for a retirement home if you can have a double entry. And this one may be decorated something like this. Notice the grand piano. And then condominiums are really popular right now. I have a number of clients that have moved into them, whether they be single or multiple. But one of the things that you cannot control over time is the maintenance fees. So I have clients that moved into single home condo association about 3 years ago. Their maintenance fees were $350. This year they raised them to $550, which is a huge jump. And you have no control over that. So for some people with the condominium, you just have to know that you can have the funds to do that if those fees rise. So universal design, planning for phase 2, and that's aging in place. So you need all the doors in the house to be at least 32 inches to 36 inches wide. And that will accommodate a wheelchair very well. So it makes sense if you're building when you're 55, you're active, you just, are like, what's the difference whether you make a little wider door at that point if you're building the house? So you want to do that up front. Then wider hallways. Most hallways in homes are 36 inches wide. I like them at 42. It just gives a little more room to navigate, and they look so awesome. Single-story living or plan for an elevator. So I have done homes right now where we do that have a basement. They have a ranch, planning for retirement, but they're young. They're not ready for the elevator. So we do 5 by 5 foot stack closet. So on the first floor, there's this big closet. Right underneath it in the basement is the same. And the only thing that you would have to do in that lower level is plan for the docking station for the elevator, but it doesn't have to be in place at that time. A home elevator that is one that you would like is going to run 20 to 30,000 right now. And if you do the power chair, which nothing says handicap more than the power chair, don't you see those commercials where they're just sliding up and they're always smiling? They're about 2,200. So I do have, my oldest client to date was 93. My youngest legitimate client to date, 8 years old. That was an interesting story. But her mother said, she is your client. You deal with her, I'll pay the bill. But my 93-year-old, I was driving in, I knew that she had real handicap problems. So I'm pulling into a neighborhood of all colonials and I'm thinking, okay, I'm just looking for the ranch here. No, I pulled into a colonial and I'm like, how do they do this? Her husband was still living. They have 2 power chairs because she had to have her canned goods in the basement for whatever reason. So she'd send him down to get the canned goods, put on the chair, send the chair up, send the chair down, pick him up. And they did laundry that way. Her laundry was in the basement. I couldn't believe it. And they were 93 and he was 95. So they made it work. Non-skid flooring to prevent falls. So we're looking for carpets that don't have a lot of nap to them. We're looking for something flat similar to this, or we're looking for ADA compliant tile, which is, you want to put that in any bathroom, no matter what age you are, because nobody wants, we love marble. It looks beautiful, but you don't want to get out of your shower because you're going to be skidding across your room, right? And then we want to reinforce the walls, especially if you're building. We're going to reinforce the walls in the shower and bath for future grab bars, because when you're 55, you probably don't want grab bars all over your bathroom, but you want to know that the wood is in place behind there so that it's a very easy adaptation to get that bathroom up to speed if you need it to be. Lever doorknobs everywhere in the house. No turning. People that have arthritis have trouble turning doorknobs. So if they're lever doorknobs, not only do they look spectacular, but they really are functional. Decora rocker switches, rather than the just very easy switch to switch. They're the big ones. Does everybody know what Decora is? Yep. That throughout the entire house. The bathroom should have a curbless roll-in shower. So it has a slope to the shower stall, but there's nothing to step over. You can roll in. It doesn't look bad if it's now and people are like 55 and they're active. It's nice not to have a curb. You don't have to have it. You don't have to clean it either. A handheld shower, and it should be the shower head on a bar. The bar should run from high to low so that if anybody is ever in a wheelchair, that can just come down the wall and they don't have to hand hold it. So it's a really good idea. Also do a built-in shower seat. Nobody wants to sit in the one from the medical supply store. We all know what it looks like, don't we? The little white thing. Yeah, we don't want that. We want something that looks stylish and pretty because we're going to be in this house a long time. And grab bars should not only be in the shower, but near the toilet. And right now, I have a number of people that want the bidet seat addition to their toilet. For whatever reason, I'm not going to get into it, but just maybe you need that later on. I don't know. Anyway, here we are. On the right is the wonderful chair. And on the left is a closet door that's 36 inches wide, and that's the elevator. That's a wonderful elevator. So I always suggest if you're going to do an elevator, make it look like it's in a closet. You don't want it to be. Occasionally, I've seen pictures of houses where they'll add it to, I have a pointer, I forget that. They'll add it like right here. So it goes up and it's glass and it looks terrible. It really does. So if you're going to splurge, go that way. Now, does anybody, I'm going to back up because if anybody has any questions, and then I'm going to show you some of the work that I've done so you can see. Any questions? Did you get some good ideas? Yeah? Okay, good. Well, I'd like to share with you some of my notable work from show houses and things that have been published in the paper so you can kind of see. When I do my educational things, I never put in my own work because that way we can talk whatever we want about it. Now you have to be real sensitive. This is one of the very first show houses I ever did. This was in Grosse Pointe. It was a sleeping porch off a master suite. And so it had all at one point had screen windows. And this was the Weber home, if you know that house on Lincoln. And before I did the house, somebody had come in and done all the windows, and they wanted this and used it as a study. So at this end of the house, at this end of the room, I had a desk. And I thought, well, if you get just a little tired of working, why not have a lounge and a chair right by it, right? Everybody should have a chaise. And this one was kind of fun because I got this mosquito net for it, and I thought, oh, it needs more. And so then I hand sewed beads along the side just to dress it up. And I thought, oh, I need some feathers too. So it was truly a unique thing. It was kind of fun. And then, oh, all right. This one was actually picked up by Meredith. This was a show house that was sponsored by Michigan Design Center in Birmingham. It was a new build. And this is a children's study, and it's right off the kitchen. So if mom's in the kitchen preparing food, her kids are right there. So we did kind of a little safari theme, right down to having a goldfish in a bowl that you can't see. We had a little trouble with him living. So we had Mowgli, and then we had Simba. And then when we got the third goldfish, and I sent my assistants out to get him, I kept sending them to the fish store. When we got the third one, I said, we're not naming it, we're calling it 3. It went home with me and it lived 5 years. So we finally got it right. Third time's the charm. But anyway, Meredith Publishing, I signed off on rights to this, and this has appeared many times in national magazines because it's really kind of neat to plan for kids. And we also did it so that the bar area is at the height for serving for if it ever becomes a butler's pantry. We did a custom table with this wonderful like faux alligator on the top, wipes off easily from crayons or anything like that. And it goes from 24 inches to 30 to 36. So really good for kids. And we had a great time doing it. And it's fun and full of energy. This was 2008. This room, one of my favorite bedrooms I've done, and one of these is Grange Furniture. I don't know if you know Grange. It's a French company, and it has a spectacular headboard, isn't it? That bed is just special. And then the dresser is striped as well, but in gray. And this room is just really relaxing. I think it's one that you'd love to wake up in every day. And we did luxury linen on it, so it's just kind of fun. And then this one, these walls do they look brown on here? Because they're aubergine, they're purple. And I always thought it would be fun to do a purple and lime green room. And so this was done for Junior League, and they always said, we like you because you do color. So I'm not afraid of color. And this one just turned out great. We did it, it was a bedroom, but we did it as a little office and sitting area. And this is not a professional shot, but this is a shot from a home that I did for a couple in their mid-20s. It was over $1 million house. He was an investment broker, so he did very well. And I put it in here because I thought you can invest in great furniture at any point in your life. All of the furniture in this room is Baker. And this is probably the most traditional space I've ever done. This is a mansion on the Detroit River. And, you know, down to the window treatments, everything needed to be just perfect for this particular home. Hardest thing to do is as a show house designer, was the foyer. People kept setting things on my table. And I'm going, ah. But anyway, the client bought more than half of the things in here. So he really liked the display. And this one is on Bishop Road in Grosse Pointe. This is a library, and I used contrasting colors, so complementary colors, navy blue and orange. Go Tigers, right? And these colors always work well together. This had an interesting story in the fact that my cousin has a friend that lives in Grosse Pointe. She was looking for a bigger home, and so she bought a house, and she was telling me about the house. And she said, you know, I walked in and she said, there's this library on the right. And she said, I just love it. And I said, oh, and she goes, but it's kind of weird because she said the foyer has like some peacock wall painting on it. And she said, so I think she's going to strip that wallpaper. I said, there's no stripping. It was all hand painted. She goes, how do you know? I said, I did the library. And she said, you did? And I actually had the window treatments left and I packaged them up, sent them to her friend. And I also sent her along with some show house books. So she had them to show her friends. So this was one of my favorites in recent history. And then this is one of my clients' homes. And unfortunately, I didn't get to them right before they did their kitchen cabinets, but I did all the rest of the design, including the stonework. But he wanted a big island. So the builder gave him what he wanted, but never thought about how to accommodate a table to sit at in the space. So I had to find a table that's only 30 inches wide. We had to put a bench on one side, on the back side, so that you could get around the island. And then we just did some fun chairs with it. And then this is his great room. And I just, in the last 3 months, he decided to move to Lakeville Lake. So I'm working on his home in Lakeville Lake. And yes, he did. That is his animal. First one. And so it's very special. So every time I handle it, it's like, this is scary. But that is his home. And then I have a little story for you. It's wonderful. Don't you love a Cinderella story? I do too. So even an ugly stepsister can get a makeover. And you might say, an ugly stepsister? Well, my client, she's been my client, this was her third home. And she said, Renee, we need a bigger house. She said, the kids are getting bigger. We just need a bigger house. And she said, so we just bought the ugly stepsister. And I said, what? And she said, well, we had 3 houses we were looking at and she had them all named, but she said, the ugly stepsister seems to be the best. And I said, okay, let's go look at it. So this was a kitchen that was in the house. The house is over $1 million house, beautiful on the outside, but they did builder grade cabinets on the inside. So they're all thermofoil cabinets. They were bubbling and coming apart. Like you pull out a drawer and it just keeps pulling out, it was bad. So new beginnings. So here we are. This is what I looked at. And I thought, okay. All right. Here's the happily ever after of that room. Didn't turn out great. I love personalized spaces. We did the club corners on the island, all stainless appliances. Added the lighting above the windows. It's beautiful at night. And just did this really simple light fixture by Hubbard and Forge in the center. And then this is the room as she has it. So she said to me, she grew up on a farm. I love this girl. She's just so down to earth. She grew up on a farm and she said, I had this little table that we always sat at in our kitchen nook. And she said, can I bring my table? What would a good designer say? Of course you can bring your table, right? I said, yes, bring your table. And she said, and then for our anniversary, we were in France and we went to this little French market and we bought this little bench. That would be, hang on. That would be that little bench. She said, can we work it in? The good designer says, yes, of course you can. And then we found the other chairs to go with it, but it just turned out wonderful. I just love this house. Then we went in the family room and I go, this is the family room. So cozy, isn't it? So this is the transformation of that room. Pretty stunning, isn't it? So she goes, what can I do with the fireplace? Because remember, here we are at that. Somebody thought they put a nice vertical piece at the fireplace. And, like I said, the house, all the interior finishes in the house was base grade builder. So they must have wanted to have a big presence on the outside, but inside it just was not up to speed. So the first thing I said to her, I said, I think we need stone up to the ceiling because it's really going to texturize the room. And then because she grew up on a farm, her brother had the mantelpiece that was from the barn that she lived in. So we have a lot of emotion that goes into this particular style. Now, there's somebody in this picture that I don't know if you noticed. That's Duke. Now I had a professional photographer here. We're doing everything. And Duke just would pose. We had to get him out of the kitchen because I said, I can't do the kitchen shots with Duke. Sorry. And she goes, we can lock him up. I said, no, doesn't he make the picture fun? I think so too. And then my Mason has something that he does for clients if they want to personalize their fireplace a little bit. He'll do a sculpture out of stone. So in this case, right there, do you see the heart? The little heart? She wanted a heart because the hearth is the heart of the home, she said. So that is just some of the work I did. We added the great chandelier up there, which is just wonderful. And thank you for joining me today. And we have plenty of room for questions and answers. Please ask if you have any.